Hey folks, in this video you will understand all of the different studs and things like that within the framing structure of this little project that we're going to do. So if you look at what we're looking at here, this is an opening for a door, this is an opening for a window, and this is the structure for the door and the structure for the window. And if we go down from the top, this is our common stud. This is a common stud here and a common stud here. These are always 16 inches on center or less, okay? And the reason for that is the way that 4x8 sheets of plywood fit onto this. So our double top plate, at the top up here, we have two studs, and that's so you can make as long as you want with it overlapping. And so if it's 10 feet long or 8 feet long, whatever, it'll stop, and then the next one won't overlap to make that a super strong top plate. The next one is the sole plate, which is the one at the bottom. This is called the sole plate. Some people call it the sill. This is a jack stud, this purple or this blue one. I guess it's more important to come down from the top. This is the header, and then that's supported here by this blue one, which is the jack stud. Okay, this is the header up here. This is a header, and then coming down on the outside, we have the king stud on both sides here and here. These are king studs. Anything that's holding something up is called a jack stud. Some people call it a trimmer. Up north they call it a trimmer, and in the south they call it a jack stud. I like calling it a jack and a king. So jack, king goes all the way up. A jack stud comes up to the bottom of the header, or this is the windowsill here, right here, and then there's another jack stud that comes up to here, and then these ones in the middle, all these ones in the center, they're called cripple studs. And cripple studs basically are little tiny studs that fill in the gap for structure, okay? And that's what makes this up. So the document that I'm going to use, or you're going to use, excuse me, to draw this is right here. It's on Schoology, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. And so that is that. And then I'm going to show you how to get started and how to create this. We're going to show you two things. I'm going to show you how to make how to draw rectangles as an easy way to create this pretty quickly, and then how to create what's called, I'm going to come over here to create, these are called separate solids. So they make up different solids so you can actually make it look realistic while still being in a part file. So this is what we're going to do. That's what we're going to work with. This is what you'll have made in the end. The colors you choose doesn't matter to me. Whatever colors you want, I just want you to color code the correct studs. So let's go ahead and get started here, and I'll show you how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a new file, and if we look at our system here, this is 144 inches, which is 12 feet, and this is 96 inches, which is 8 feet. So I'm going to start something simple. I'm going to start on the XY plane, and I'm going to create a rectangle. And if you notice, this is in inches, so it's going to be really big. So it's going to be 144 at the top, and I'm hitting tab to get back and forth between these two, and this is going to be 96. Okay, now remember, you can double click on the mouse wheel and it zooms out to the outside edge. So I'm just going to start, I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to sort of work my way down. I have a double top plate here, and I'm coming all the way over to here. Now you can type this way. You can say 144 tab, and you can make this 2. Okay, so all of our measurements are going to be basically based on 2x4s, but our 2 for this is going to be it's going to be actually in real life 1.5 inches, which is what so it's 1.5 by 3.5, but we're going to do it 2x4 because I think that makes it a little bit easier. So we have our double top plate that is 2 inches wide. Okay, so this is 2 inches, and I'm just bringing it over and touching there, and I'm going to hit 2. So you can see, oh, it went the wrong way though. Let's try that again. Okay, I'll start over on this side this time, and I'll come over here, and I want to hit tab first, so it comes over to here, and I'm going to type 2. There we go. Now, I'm going to do another stud, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with something here so I can trim it later. So I'm going to make this 2. This is going to be my sole plate, and I can cut it later to make it a little bit easier. So we'll make this 2, okay? Now everything I draw is going to be basically from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to do a stud here. Again, that's 2. Okay. So what I want to show you now is how to extrude this. And I want you to understand. So when I go to finish sketch, okay, let me zoom all the way out again. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to start with this stud. Okay. And this is going to be 4 inches. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down, and if you see this, there's only one solid that's printing or creating right now, and I'm going to call this a common stud. Okay, and what happens is now I've got a solid body up here that's called common stud, and everything else disappears. So I'm going to come over to here, and what I'm doing is opening this. I'm going to right click and say share sketch, and that turns this back on. I can go to extrude, and then I'm going to choose this, okay, and this is my top plate. Now this time I don't want it to go to common stud, okay, so I'm going to come over to this button right here, and I'm going to click on new solid. And I'm going to call my new solid, we're going to call this double top plate. Oops, let's fix that. Okay, double top plate. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK, and what I want you to see now, this is the tricky part. So if we look back at here, you can see that there is one here and one here. If you see over here, double plate top, or double top plate part 1, double top plate part 2. So I've got 2 of them that are stacked up next to each other, and the reason or the way I have that is I made 2 separate solids. Let me show you what happens if I create a single solid. So I'm going to add this to the other one, okay? And so when I add that to the other one and I go to extrude, I can select this, okay, 4 inches, and then I come down here and I'm going to join it with this solid, and watch what happens. See how it turns it into a solid piece? I don't want that. So I'm going to double click on this extrusion 3, and I'm going to make it a new solid, and I'm going to call this double top plate part. Oh shoot, where'd that go? Let's try that again. I think I accidentally hit something. There we go. Alright, new solid. Two. Okay, and now that creates, so now do you see how they are two separate pieces and they are two separate solids over here? So I'm going to make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to click on this, I'm going to hold shift, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to change these to, let's say, gold. Okay, and then I'm going to change my common stud to green. How about that? Okay, so I'll come back to the bottom, the sole plate, because I need to cut it out for the door anyway, so I'll come back to that later. But I can come up to this sketch now, and I'll show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to select over here, and I'm going to make my common stud over here, and I'm going to finish it, and I'm going to go ahead and go to extrude. Now you'll do the whole thing and come back and do that, but I just wanted you to see this. So instead of creating a new solid, I'm going to join that solid. Okay, right here I'm going to select the solid, and I'm going to come up here to common stud, and it didn't select that. There we go. So when I do that, it chooses the same color as my common stud over here. Okay, if you see when I hit OK, now when I click on this common stud, it shows extrusion 1 and extrusion 2. Okay, and if you make a mistake, you can always just go back and double click on it and do it again. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple more studs. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to measure them. All right, so let's look at this drawing real quick. So if you look here, I've got my my king stud here and my jack stud. Now I'm going to start working from this side in. Okay, I've got a 6-inch space between these objects, and then these are attached to each other. All right, I gave you all the distances and the sizes. Okay, so this one goes all the way up. This is a king stud. This is our jack stud. So watch what I do here. Okay, I'm gonna scoot this over, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create, just to start with, a stud that comes down from the top 2 inches again. Okay, and then I'm gonna create a dimension between here and here, and this dimension is 6, and then this one starts from here and it comes up. This time I'm going to type both sides. I'm going to type 2 tab, and the height of this is 80. Okay, so I know now this is going to trim off here, so I'm just going to go ahead and create a line. Boop, just like that. So now I have a line like this and a line like that. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another one, because I want to be able to trim this now. So I'm going to create another stud here. That's 2, 80. Okay, and then I'm going to measure, and my measurement between here and here is going to be 6 feet. 6 feet. You can type it this way, or you can type, well, let's just do that, 6 with a little foot symbol. Okay, so that gives me 6 feet and 0 inches. That way you can see the difference between inches and feet. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my header. And did I do that right? Yes, I did that right. So then my header, it goes all the way over to this side, okay, which is 76 inches, and that 76 inches, it comes over to this edge here. Okay, you see how it like snaps to that edge? And then I'm going to come up 8 inches. Okay. Oops, I did that wrong. Sorry. Okay. So I'm going to hit tab 8, And that leaves a tiny little space up here at the top. And that tiny little space is where I'm going to put my Cripple Studs. And I don't know if... I think I made that too... I think this is supposed to be 80 to here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to click on the bottom here. And the bottom here. So see how that says 82? This should be 80. There we go. Oop, that popped up the bottom. Okay. I will show you what I'm doing is I'm just going to go back and fix some of these lines. But everything fixed. It leaves a little bit more of a space up here, which is fine. I can put in my jack stud over here. All I'm doing is using this to attach things back together. And it doesn't seem to like that, so this should be 80 inches to the... Anyway, I'll go back and fix this. But so anyway, I'll just do this real quick. And then the last thing I'm going to do, just to show you, is I'm going to draw a line down here, from here to here, and then I'm going to go up to trim, and I'm going to go boop and boop, and that leaves me this space at the bottom for my sole plate over here, and this space over here for the sole plate. This, I don't know if you noticed, but it popped up in the air when I tried to fix it, so I can move it right back to 0, 0 right here. Okay, and that way it looks a little bit more realistic again. So I'll somehow messed up this, but it's okay. Alright, so that gets you started. That should be able to give you an opportunity to move a little bit forward. Okay.